On this edition of Somerville Neighborhood News, a visit to Tufts to hear what students think about a new controversial law aldermen might pass, an afternoon devoted to teaching neighbors about employee sick time, a look at accessibility, a glimpse of the new T station inauguration, an introduction to the new Union Square developers' vision for engagement, and a taste of Haiti and Brazil. All this on Somerville Neighborhood News.
And welcome to Somerville Neighborhood News. I'm Tarsha Stack. Today is September 9th, and I voted, and I hope you do too.
And I'm Dennis Stack, and I voted. Somerville Neighborhood News is a community service production of SCATV, put together by staff, interns, and your neighbours. We bring you the news every 2 weeks right here on Channel 3 and on our website, somervilleneighborhoodnews.org.
We hope you'll share our stories by sending our link or posting to Facebook. And now you can listen to Somerville Neighborhood News on Boston Free Radio, SCATV's internet radio station. You can hear it every Friday from 6 to 6:30 at bostonfreeradio.com.
There are other great news programs too. Catch Democracy Now! Every weekday at noon, Free Speech Radio News on Fridays at 6:30 p.m. and Alternative Radio on Saturdays at 3 p.m. If you want to learn more about the station or if you want to get involved, check out our website or come to the orientation session on September 30th at 8 p.m. We begin with some supermarket news. As we all know, over at Market Basket, Arthur T. DeMoulas and his supporters finally prevailed. Now Arthur T. is at the helm, but the private equity firm Blackstone Group is a partial owner. Will the chain be able to win back its customers? Will the Blackstone Group be making any demands? We'll keep an eye on that.
Speaking of supermarkets, police were handing out certificates for groceries on August 16th. The Somerville Police Department held a no-questions-asked guns for groceries swap. They got 14 firearms that they destroyed, thanks to our women and men in blue.
Here's some more news from the city. The Mayor's office finally cut a deal with Partners Healthcare. Because it's a non-profit, Partners doesn't have to pay real estate taxes, but it has agreed to make a series of payments that could top $2 million a year. Read about it in our local papers or on the city's website at somervillemad.gov/news.
Now to the news. For the first time in a quarter century, the MBTA opened a new T station, an orange line stop at Assembly Square. The station was a long time coming and hit some bumps in the road, but it got done. The new stop cost over $29 million. It was paid for with money from state and federal coffers and from FRIT, the developer at Assembly Square. Our friends at City Cable covered the inauguration, which was attended by many officials and friends of Somerville.
The Assembly Station is now open. It was Recovery Act money that came right on time from the Obama administration with the advocacy of our delegation that enabled this project, which had been stalled, to get a fresh start and to create the infrastructure that then made sense economically for private developers to invest in the way they have. It was the investment of time and resources by state government, and I thank and acknowledge our state delegation, our legislative delegation, who have time and again stepped up and supported the resources for us to bond to invest in projects just like this. It was the time, yeah, give them a hand, give them a hand. It was the time and investment of regular citizens.
But let's not look at our first trip down the Orange Line as the end of a successful collaboration. Let's let our first ride be the beginning of a journey toward the next round of great public works in the Commonwealth, one that pursues smart growth, transit-oriented vision that we share and must pursue to our future. Somebody tweeted. Thanks for coming out. Thank you to the governor. This is a great achievement for the entire state. Thank you.
If you want to see the entire event, check out City Cable. You can get the schedule at bit.ly SVille Cable. Be sure to capitalize the S and C.
Dennis, do you think the mayor's orange glasses and orange tie were tied to the orange line?
I hope he has green glasses and a green tie for the next station open.
And here's another development-related story. In August, the firm that will be overseeing the redevelopment of Union Square kicked off what it calls 100 Days of Engagement. News Director Jane Regan was there.
Neighbors, officials, and business people turned out on August 19th to sample food inspired by Union Square's diverse cultures, to listen to a local band, to check out a drone, and to write down their visions for what the new Union Square should look like.
The 100 Days is really aimed at three main points. The first is to continue the engagement that we've done in the community, in the area, to hear your feedback and include all your individual perspectives in the vision for the community. The second really is to define a master urban planning process together. We'll work with the city and the CAC to do that. That will really guide our work going forward. And the last is really to lay the foundation for the urban planning process.
Greg Karcheski said there are many key issues that need to be discussed with the community.
Housing, job creation, independent retailers, sustainability, all the issues that are important to the development is about the trade-offs required. And there's a tremendous opportunity here to address a lot of those needs, and we just need to work with the community to kind of figure out what's most important and where the highest priorities are.
US2 will be signing a community benefits agreement.
And we're in support of the concept of a community benefits agreement and look forward to working with the CAC and the city to craft that as part of the broader plan that's being constructed.
Crafting the agreement will take some time.
Today's the first launch of a very long and fruitful and successful relationship and collaboration with the city, the community, and our partner.
The mayor pointed out that all parties will need to understand
the value of the community we want all of us to invest in, whether it be investment in small, local, independently run and operated businesses, the diversity of this community, the creativity, the originality, making sure that everybody has a place here if they want to live here, work here, play here.
neighbors, business people, and elected officials turned out for the launch of US2's 100 Days of Engagement. They promise meetings, fora, and opportunities for folks to give their input. We'll be following during the next 100 days. For Somerville Neighborhood News, I'm Jane Regan.
Next, let's go with reporter Elijah Kaplan, who headed out with volunteers canvassing to ask Somerville residents to vote yes on question 4 on November 4th.
No, I don't think it's the same person.
Okay, let me.
As long as we left one.
Hi, my name is Francisca. I'm here to talk to you about question 4. I don't know if you know anything about that.
No.
No. Question 4 is about sick time. You know, in Massachusetts, a lot of company doesn't have sick time at the job, so they trying to get people to vote on question 4.
Francisca Guarta works at the Somerville Visiting Nurses Association all week. But on a recent Saturday, she volunteered to work some more to help educate her neighbors about a referendum that would guarantee sick time leave for all workers in the state.
I support workers' rights. I think that that's an important thing, and Massachusetts needs to continue to be a leader on this topic because clearly the United States federal government is not doing anything on anything, so.
We're doing that because we like to support the organization and we think it's a good thing to do. You know, we want people to vote on them because it's very good. A lot of people doesn't have sick time, so I think it's a good deal.
Yeah. In fact, almost 1 million workers in Massachusetts do not have access to paid sick time. The United States is one of the few countries in the world which doesn't have a national requirement that employers offer paid sick leave. According to the organization Think Progress, about 41 million people can't take a single paid day if they or their family members get sick. Most of those workers are low-wage earners. Many studies say employees with no sick time come to work sick or ignore sick family members because they fear losing their jobs. If question 4 passes, full and part-time employees would earn up to 40 hours of sick time per year. A worker would earn 1 hour of sick time for every 30 hours worked. Employees could use their time if they were sick, or if they were caring for a family member, or for medical appointments for themselves or their family. The Retailers Association of Massachusetts opposes question 4, saying it would be costly to small businesses and taxpayers. They say that businesses which have mandatory staffing levels would have to pay twice, once to the employee who's out and a second time to the employee covering the shift. But other organizations, like the National Partnership for Women and Families, say sick time would reduce the spread of illness and also save businesses money. 2 states and 5 cities already have similar laws, and dozens of other cities and states are considering legislation.
Actually, a lot of jobs, a lot of company doesn't have sick times. You know, people get sick and they have to worry about to go to work. Sick. If you're sick, you should stay home. You shouldn't go to work, and you should be able to get paid and take some day off and take care of yourself, your family, you know, without worry about losing your job. It's very important for everybody because, you know, you work to survive. If you don't get paid, if you get sick for a week, let's say you don't get paid, how are you going to take care of your family and pay your bills? And, you know, I think it's very important. Everybody should vote on that.
Voters will have a chance to decide on the issue, along with 3 other important questions on Election Day, November 4th. Reporting for Somerville Neighborhood News, I'm Elijah Kaplan.
For more information on question 4 and other ballot questions, go to the Secretary of State's website, sec.state.ma.us/ele/.
A couple of days ago, Dennis, the California legislature voted to make sick time mandatory for everyone. Wouldn't that be wonderful for Massachusetts?
Sure would.
Next up, we take a look at what life is like for folks with disabilities here in Somerville. The city once got in trouble for violating regulations that are in the Americans with Disabilities Act. It's been 3 years now. How is the city doing? Sharon Johnson took a look.
A railing without a grip, a curb too steep for a wheelchair, a water fountain that is too high. All of these things could impact a differently abled person's daily life.
So, I don't know, I can't drink water just like everybody else. What does that mean about how included you are? So I've lived in Somerville for maybe about 12 years. And I guess in 2005, I joined the Disability Commission. I became very interested in the fact that commission members are extremely dedicated and committed, but it was necessary to amplify the commission's knowledge base about what disability rights are, what laws and regulations are in effect to protect our rights. I happen to have been diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa many years ago, and it really, I don't see anything out of one eye, and out of my other eye I only see a little bit. So yeah, I have quite limited vision. I mean, this is just basically just an obstruction. So I mean, if they want to have a shelf, put a shelf somewhere where it won't obstruct people. So that's, I think, where I began my, sort of really strong participation in the city of Somerville as a very committed community access and inclusion kind of advocate.
The city of Somerville came under heat in 2011 after Feldman filed a complaint about the lack of accessibility at Arts at the Armory. Title III of the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 requires programs like Arts at the Armory to be accessible to differently abled citizens.
Let's do what kids with disabilities do. They peer in through the fence instead of playing with their peers. And I know that from personal experience. So what we have here is sand, which gives no traction to people using wheel mobility device, whether the parent or the child. And we've got, no point of access. But it's a very limited playground, and I'm sure it's not going to be the first thing on the city's alterations list.
The city does have a list and has been making some alterations. After coming under fire for ignoring the Americans with Disabilities Act, in 2013, city officials released their self-evaluation, which details the accessibility of each building. Some important offices, like the Traffic and Parking Building and the Recreation Commission, are still out of compliance. So is the City Hall Annex.
So now we need to ring the bell or call. You can't really tell what to do here. What do you do? And you're locked out. Now, that's just illegal. The public entrance should be open to the public. But this makes a distinction between people and says there's a certain class of individuals that the public entrance doesn't have to be open to. And let's see if that door's open, just for the heck of it. If I'm with a friend and we have to use that entrance because it's a no-step entrance, we're both feeling degraded. We're both feeling demoralized. We're both waiting for somebody to open the door. It's an intimidating kind of proposition. Who's going to come?
Some buildings have been fixed. Now the Armory has handrails, and the East Branch Library and the Argenziano School have ramps. Another improvement was the hiring of an ADA coordinator last year.
The mayor hired me to make sure that we're fostering an environment in the city that is free of discrimination on the basis of disability. And so my job is to ensure that we're following all guidelines, all policies and procedures, and that residents and employees alike know what their rights are as well as their responsibilities under the law.
One of the projects Allen launched was a citywide ADA accessibility survey, available online and at various locations around the city.
The benefit of doing a complete survey like that is we get feedback from the people most impacted by the work that we're doing.
I think it's really, really great that the city did contract with the Institute to create a survey. It's like a really excellent thing.
Even here at SCATV, there is still room for improvement. Although the 2013 Somerville self-evaluation deemed the station mostly accessible, as you can see right here, the stairs leading up to the back classroom are missing handrails or can be turned into a ramp. Hopefully, the survey completed this August will help Somerville address the needs of its differently abled citizens and make it a more inclusive city for everyone to live in. For Somerville Neighborhood News, I'm Sharon Johnson.
Here's a look at this week's Somerville Journal.
Hello, this week in the Somerville Journal, we'll have the results from the primary election on Tuesday. We'll have an update on funding for Assembly Square, and we'll have coverage of the St. Cosmos and Damien Festival. You can always find us at wickedlocal.com/Somerville and on Twitter @VilleJournal, and you can get in touch with me at 617-629-3385 or datkinson@wickedlocal.com.
Now a story from Tufts. The Board of Aldermen are proposing an ordinance that would enable the city to crack down on landlords and students breaking the law by having more than 4 unrelated people in the same apartment. Here's an excerpt from the August 28th meeting when it was discussed.
What it does is it requires basically universities that have housing in a community, that's how you get the regulation over them, to compile directories, and the directories list the student's address, phone number, etc. But the interesting thing is the ordinance also requires the university to notify those students who may be living in an apartment that violates the city's zoning ordinance because it's more than 4 unrelated students or people living together, because our limit is 4. We get that, you refer it to inspectional services, they can get an inspector down there. So it really is a way, I think, to cut down on a practice that's impacting a lot of folks, especially, with the tough students surrounding them, where you have overcrowding, illegal rentals. I actually talked to a former tough student last night, and they, I think it was 6 of them, because they put in a couple of illegal cutoffs of rooms and such. So that's one way you have to be vigilant, because it has a couple of effects. One, it's of course a quality of life, overcrowding, noise, parties, etc. But also, what's happening is some of the old-time Somervillians sell their houses. A lot of absentee landlords are buying property in the Tufts area for rental purposes. They're paying a higher value for those, because they figure if they can rent to 5 or 6 students on each floor, they're gonna, it's gonna be a cash machine for them. So they pay a higher amount, and then that brings up the property values in the surrounding area. And then when folks get hit with their tax bill the next year, their taxes have gone up because their values have gone up because of what an absentee landlord paid to buy property to rent, unfortunately illegally.
I read a 3-part series, a long 3-part series in the Boston Globe last year about young people dying in apartments that were substandard and overcrowded. And thank God I'm not aware of anything like that happening here in Somerville. But my daughter just graduated from Tufts, and with what they're charging for rents on apartments in that area, it could happen with the kind of overcrowding that students, will feel compelled to do if there are not if there's not strict regulation.
We've been talking about concerns of students for years. Let's be honest.
Further discussion? Seeing none. Question comes on approval. All in favor say aye. Opposed nay. The ayes have it. The item is referred to the Legislative Matters Committee.
Somerville Neighborhood News wanted to know what Tufts students thought about the proposed law. So Sarah Jean, who is also a Tufts student, headed up to the campus on September 4th.
So, did you know that it is illegal in Massachusetts for more than 4 people who are not related to live together in the same house, the same apartment?
It is.
Is that true? I did not know that.
I had no idea.
I actually did not know that, as I actually don't really live in Massachusetts, but I actually am from Hawaii, but I'm living here now, so that's good to know.
No, I did not know that.
I did not know that, as I currently live with 4 other people who I'm not related to in an apartment, so I'm genuinely surprised by that.
The city of Somerville is working on a new proposal that would require Tufts to provide all of the addresses of where students live, and that could lead to repercussions for students and landlords who are living in houses with or apartments with more than 4 people. What do you think of that?
Boy, well, it'd make it really tough on individuals, I would think, that are already in situations that are in violation of the potential law.
To be honest, it might be bad because, we are college students and rent is not the cheapest around here. And for a lot of families or students who are on financial aid or have special financial needs like myself, it can be a little hindering.
I think in general that's a bad idea. I think they should allow people to live together, so maybe the law should be changed as opposed to sending it the list, but either way it's bad.
I think that's good. It's good to enforce the law, and it helps to keep everybody safe and keeps things going good. We don't want any craziness going on for tough students. It'll enhance the educational experience.
Students should be able to live with as many people as possible. The cost of living costs a lot. Dorming costs a lot, so it's helpful to be able to have a good number of roommates.
I totally understand where it's coming from, in the sense that we should be allowed to, get away with not abiding by the law. At the same time, there's such a huge overflow because Tufts does not have enough housing for students. And so, spring semester comes around, you go through the lottery, you don't get housing. A lot of students are desperate, scrambling for places. And a lot of these off-campus places, although they might not be abiding by Massachusetts law, really help out students who aren't able to get housing from the university. And so I just sense that there might be some pushback from students if that goes into place. If the university was to come clean and say, you know what, we are going to try to be compliant with this law and informed students that they would be giving out the addresses and possibly gave students an opportunity to opt out of it, then, and there was like full transparency in the process, then I think it would be okay. But if I don't receive an email about this and I find out, you know, someone from the city of Somerville is coming to my house and asking me questions, I would feel as though my privacy was violated.
We'll have more on this in a future newscast.
I think this will be really important for safety for students and the community. We end with a party that took place right here in Union Square on August 23rd. It was called Haiti and Brazil Hit the Bill. Elijah Kaplan brings us the story.
Some 300 people turned out to eat traditional food, see art by local artists, hear Haitian and Brazilian music, and try their hand at samba dancing.
We are here celebrating our cultures, and I'm happy that we have lots of people here, music, food, crafters, and people that came here to celebrate and to be happy.
There was even poetry.
Grâce la miséricorde pour un pays qui t'a sous quoi dans l'estomac moins. Grâce la miséricorde. Grâce.
And lots of traditional food and drinks, like fresh squeezed sugarcane juice.
Those machines there, called sugarcane juice. This will make up ethanol. You know, you drive car here. In Brazil, they make those, and you can drink too. Make the juice. Called caldo de cana. Caldo de cana.
I was talking with my friend, like what Haitian in Brazil has in common. First thing, we are very happy. Second thing, we live in a beautiful city, Somerville. The other thing, we love soccer. We love it. We love Pelé and everybody else that plays soccer. And the other thing, we are Afro. Brazil have a big Afro influence as a Haitian. So let's celebrate Haitian in Brazil and everybody together. Let's have fun, everybody.
And it is a wonderful event, and you see so many people come in and enjoy the food, the art, and the culture, the music. It's good, and I hope there will be more of it, and it's also a good way for the community to get together, to meet, to talk, and to share what we have in common.
The square may be empty right now, but just a few days ago, little pieces of Brazil and Haiti were showcased right here, reminding us of the city's rich diversity. Reporting for Somerville Neighborhood News, I'm Elijah Kaplan.
Well, that's all for now. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back on September 23rd.
But don't just tune in once every 2 weeks. Check us out online at somervilleneighborhoodnews.org, or go to our Facebook page, SCATV SNN, and share your favorite segment.
Or tweet us at SCATV SNN. We welcome you to get involved with Somerville Neighborhood News. Become a reporter or just send in your ideas. Call us at 617-628-8826 or write to news@scattv.somerville.org. I'm Tarsha Stack.
And I'm Dennis Stack. See you around the neighborhood. And